What are some of those gotchas that, first-time founders might not know, the things relating to the equity that can come and hurt you?
Yeah, I think equity is the most valuable asset that your company has if the company ends up being successful. So to get the first 100 users within Pulley, I did the Collison brother install. So this was John and Patrick Collison. What I had heard was that literally to get the users for Stripe, they would sit down next to them and they would onboard them to Stripe. So thought about doing the same thing.
The Collison installation.
The Collison installation, exactly. So for Pulley, we wanted to do the same thing. I knew that demo day was coming up. Wanted to sit next to all these founders, get them on board at Pulley so we can manage their cap table and prepare them for demo day. What are some of those things? The basic question, this was my pitch. The question I would lead with was, how much of the company do you own? And it was actually really surprising how many folks didn't know the answer to that question, or they were off significantly.
Oh, wow.
And it could anything be by they raised a friends and family round before YC, or
I was just going to say, this is a pretty early stage, so you should have a pretty firm handle on how much you own.
It's oftentimes friends and family round, or if they raise money from other accelerators prior to YC with complex term sheets, or advisors oftentimes can also get a lot of equity within the company. So when I say they're off by like a significant amount, it's like if you have 3 co-founders and you have advisors and you had a friends and family round, maybe in your mind you think like, great, 3 co-founders, 100% divided by 3, I own 33% of the company. And in reality, that could be closer to like 20%, which is a pretty significant difference because then in each round, you're giving up more of the company. So like some of the mistakes is that early on, if you give up too much of the company and you still need to raise that seed, you still need to raise that A, then investors can often look at this and sometimes think, do you actually own enough of the company as a founder to still be motivated to grow the company on the other side? Or I think having misconceptions, because the amount that you give up in every round of funding differs for the industry. Biotech tends to raise heavily early on. SaaS companies raise at different multiples than consumer companies. So I think also having misconceptions of what type of funding they'll need to take in subsequent rounds in order to be able to hit their goals. And then I would say like this isn't so much a mistake, but like another thing I found that founders often had challenge with was really selling what the value of the equity could be to people that wanted to join the team. They would present this value as what is the value of the company today? And I mean, most seed stage companies are not worth that much by definition today because the company is still really early. So if you're positioning this as a percentage of a not very large number, then your prospective candidates are looking at this as like, wait, why would I give up the salary that I have at Google, Facebook, Microsoft today to join your startup? When the story should be, and this is where we are today. If we hit our milestones, this is how the company could grow. And imagine what your ownership stake could be worth. So that's why Pulley built out like a really great offer letter tool so that we can walk founders through that process and get them on board.
I love this. I just need to interject. You have a very wrapped audience here between Carolynn, who's a corporate lawyer, and me, who's a wannabe lawyer. I love talking about this because it does sort of like feel like monopoly money to new founders. And oh, sure, you want to be advisor? I'll give you 3%. And they don't realize the implications of that.
Oh, I have so many anecdotes about founders not realizing how valuable equity is and just handing it out like candy to anybody who will help them even marginally. And you're like, they give 1-2% to people. And you're like, what did this person do for you? Oh, they looked at my business plan. You're like, oh, that's so
killing me, Carolynn.
Yeah, exactly.
So like on the fundraising front, because Carolynn, like what I got was, I remember like YC helped me through fundraising and I got a spreadsheet template that had iterative calculations I needed to turn on in Excel. And you're nodding because I'm like, I don't even know what iterative calculations are. And I was like, I spent like 15 minutes on YouTube looking for the dongle to be able to turn this on, like, and shut it down and open up Excel again to make it work. But like, because some of these rounds are complex, I say this is more like it shouldn't be this hard to just know if I fundraise on these terms, if I give away pro rata, if I give away MFNs, if I give away some of these clauses, what does it mean in the future when I raise my next round? How much do I actually have to give away? How big should my employee equity plan be? And my perspective is actually you should create a fairly big employee equity plans so that you can incentivize people to join your team. But I think it's hard to know how to make some of those decisions when it feels like you're flying in the dark and you don't have the tooling available. And the only option is spend a lot of money working with a lawyer to understand something.
Yeah. And by the way, lawyers aren't so great at the math part of this. So they're great at giving you the advice, like looking at the market and saying like, this is what we see, the size of employee pools. Lawyers are great for that. But like, when it comes to manipulating spreadsheets, there's like a class of lawyers who are good at that, and then like a bigger class of lawyers who are not good at it.